Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. This is Dr. Suryanarayana Sanyasa Naidu Bure, Assistant Professor at Ganpatra Varvade College of Commerce, Sangli, Maharashtra. In this video, we are going to discuss about the importance of macroeconomics or the significance of macroeconomics. By going through this video, you can come to know how macroeconomics is important or how much significance is there for study of macroeconomics. Let us start the discussion. In order to understand the importance or significance of macroeconomics, we need the support of some macroeconomic variables. Of course, there are many macroeconomic variables we can take here to discuss about the importance of macroeconomics. I have taken few macroeconomic variables here, such as to understand the working of economy, formulation of economic policies, general employment, national income, economic growth and development, inflation and deflation, monetary problems, and business cycles. So the importance of macroeconomics can be understood by studying these economic variables. Let us start the discussion of these macroeconomic variables one by one. The first is about working of economy. Here, study of macroeconomics is indispensable to understand the working of any economy or economic system. Means when we want to understand the functioning of economic system, we must aware about the macroeconomic variables like aggregate output, aggregate employment, general price level, aggregate consumption, aggregate saving, aggregate demand, aggregate supply. By studying all these aggregate variables only, one can come to know the functioning of an economy or the working of an economy. So how an economy works towards or how the production takes place in an economy, how consumption takes place in an economy, how the distribution of factors will takes in the economy, how the income distributes among the different factors of production. All this can be understood by studying the macroeconomic variables. So to understand the functioning of economic system, it is indispensable to understand and study the macroeconomics. And another important aspect explains us the importance of macroeconomics is framing of economic policies. Economic policies means like the industrial policy, trade policy, exchange rate policy, fiscal policy, monetary policy. These are some economic policies framed by the policy makers in order to achieve the goals and objectives. So while framing these economic policies, the policymakers should be very careful. While making these policies, they take utmost care because these policies determines the level of growth or the performance of the particular economy. Therefore, while framing these policies, the policymakers must aware or have clear knowledge about the macroeconomic variables and its consequences and its influence and its impact. And based on that only they can frame a right policy, and then only the economy can achieve its targets. Take an example here, the new education policy 2020. So the central government has framed this new education policy by taking the opinions of different experts, by taking the suggestions of various stakeholders, by working a long period of time, they have framed this final draft of this new education policy. So while framing the policy, that takes a lot of time, and while framing the policy, they collect the different opinions, and then only the policy will come as an act. Take an example here, the Niti Aayog of India takes the responsibility of framing policies and making plans for achieving of development for the coming 5 years or for coming 10 years. Those policies framed by the policymakers by taking or by aware about these macroeconomic variables. Therefore, the framing of economic policies can be done with the best knowledge or with aware about the macroeconomic variables. So macroeconomic study is crucial for framing of the right economic policies. And another factor that we discuss here, to understand the significance of macroeconomics is general employment. So it's quite common that every country wants to achieve the full employment. Of course, it is not possible, but every economy works on that. How can it achieve the full employment? But the level of employment highly depends on the factor that is called effective demand, which created by the J.M. Keynes. So effective demand means it depends on the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate means total. Means when the total demand in a country is equal to total supply, that situation is called as effective demand. So when there is effective demand, then the employment will be more. This is what explained by the J.M. Keynes. Of course, demand may never equals the supply, but the focus will be on how to make a balance between the demand and supply will be takes place by the policymakers. So every economy focus on making a balance between the demand and supply. So the level of employment in a economy depends on the factor that is effective demand, which in turn depends on the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So macroeconomics also studies the causes of unemployment, the consequences of unemployment, and the ways to avoid or the routes where we can increase the level of employment or how we can reduce the level of unemployment. That can be understood only by studying the macroeconomics. And another significant factor is national income. National income is an income of a nation in a given period of time, generally in a financial year. So every country in the world measures the national income for every financial year, which called as a key indicator to assess the performance of that particular economy. Means based on the figures of the national income, one can assess the performance of that particular economy or the performance of different sectors in that particular economy. So here macroeconomic study helps us to understand what do you mean by national income and what is the importance of national income data and how national income is crucial for any economy or how national income comes from different sectors of the economy. So the study of macroeconomics is crucial to understand the concept of national income, the components of national income, the calculating methods of national income, the difficulties existed in the national income, and the significance or importance of the national income can be understood by studying the macroeconomics. So study of macroeconomics is essential to understand this concept of national income, which is an indicator of performance of any economy in the world. And another factor explains us the importance of macroeconomics is economic growth and development. Of course, we use these two words as interchangeable words, but there is a distinction between the growth and development. Here you can see in this pic that how growth is and how development is. Generally, rise in the national income is termed as a growth, whereas development means it's not just rising national income. There must be including of all other elements. That means there must be increase in the standard of living of the people. There must be increase in the health status of the people. There must be increase in the life expectancy of the people. There must be increase in the education level of the people. So all elements will be included. That category is called as development. So mostly developed countries focus on achieving of more growth, whereas developing countries focus on achieving development. So here, study of macroeconomics helps us to understand these concepts of growth and development, and it also helps us the forces which determine the growth and which determine the development. In that way, by studying the macroeconomics, we can come to know which factors have influence on the growth and which factors have influence on the development, and where the focus should be to achieve more growth and where the focus should be to achieve more development. So that can be done with the help of studying macroeconomics. And another important variable is inflation and deflation. So these are the two opposite goes. Generally, we are aware about inflation, which means rise in the prices for a period of time, or a considerable rise in the general price level or a period of time is termed as inflation. So in simple words, we say rise in prices is called as inflation. Whereas the deflation means an opposite to the inflation means decrease in the prices of goods. Both inflation and deflation, both are dangerous for the economy. Means when there is a rise in prices, it influences badly the economy. When prices reduce, it also influences the economy badly. So therefore, there must not be have much increase in the prices. There must not be have decrease in the prices. There must be have a moderate level in the rise. At the same time, there must be have a moderate rate of inflation to achieve the goals and targets. So here, the study of macroeconomics helps us to understand the concept of inflation and concept of deflation, and the causes of inflation and the impact of inflation and impact of deflation can be understood by studying this concept of macroeconomics. And another significant factor is that monetary problems. Monetary means simply related to money. Take an example here, monetary policy. Monetary policy means policy related to money. So monetary problems means, monetary means as related to money, the demand for money and supply of money. These are the two factors which influence the value of money and the significance of money or importance of money. So every economy focus on that, the demand for and supply of money. So there must be always have balance between the demand for and supply of money. If there is an imbalance, it creates a lot of issues in the economy. So every country tries to achieve a balance between demand for demand for money and supply of money. When demand is more than the supply, it creates a different kind of problem. When supply is more than the demand, it creates another kind of problem. So when demand is excess supply or when supply is excess demand, then there will be problems will be created in the economy. So here, studying of macroeconomics helps us to understand the concept of money, the money supply, the demand for money, the balance between demand for and supply of money, the imbalance between the demand for and supply of money, the causes of higher demand for money than the supply, or the causes for inequality between the demand for and supply of money. All this can be understood by studying the macroeconomics. And another important significant factor is business cycles. Business cycles means, as we all aware about that, every business have the ups and downs. Means sometimes the business achieve more profits, sometimes the business have incurring losses. So as we take an example of a human being, and human being may not be happy always and may not be sad always. Sometimes we are happy, we feel happy, and sometimes we feel bad. So the ups and downs are common. So in the same way, as similarly in business also, sometimes profits will be there and sometimes loss will be there. So business cycles means the ups and downs in the business activity or fluctuations in the business activity. Here there are four phases of business cycles are there, such as prosperity, recession, recovery, and depression. These are the four stages that takes place in any business, in any economy. Here in this peak, we can see that the top stage is called as peak. Peak means it is a prosperity stage or boom stage, and the down stage is called as trough stage. Trough means depression, which is bad for the economy. So the up stage is good for the economy and down stage is bad for the economy, because the up stage is prosperity, which leads to good results in the business and economy. The down stage, that is the depression, leads to more adverse impact on the economy. You can take an example of this corona crisis nowadays. So there is a lot of fall down in the economic activity, which we can call as recession or depression in the economy, which leads to many adverse impacts on the various sectors. So that stage is part of this business cycles. Means business will experience the different phases for different time periods. So the study of macroeconomics helps us to understand the concept of business cycles and the causes of fluctuations in the business, and the measures to control the business cycles can be understood by studying the macroeconomics. These are the different variables you can take support to understand the concept of importance of macroeconomics or significance of macroeconomics. Hope you all understood that how macroeconomics is significant or important to study. Thank you all for your patience to watch this video. Please share your comments to improve for coming videos. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share your comment. Please subscribe this channel for more videos on economics. Thank you all of you for your support and encouragement.